today. Rebecca Becca Avery is a health coach, and she's also a nurse, and she's got a very extensive medical background. And we're going to get into some topics with her and just find out a little bit about who she is, where she came from, where she is now, and maybe what's on the horizon. So, without any further ado, let me go ahead and bring her on. There she is. Rebecca, how are you?
I'm good.
All right. Now, rumor has it that you prefer Becca. Is that
It
true?
just depends. It just depends. So in the community, all the coaches were calling me Becca all the time. Becca, Becca, Becca. I was like, I'm going to change my name to Coach Becca. They're like, okay. And so it stuck. Um, but yeah, so most people call me Rebecca in real life. My family calls me Beck. And then, but then I've got a select group of friends that also call me Becca. So I'll go for any of those.
Call you anything, just don't call you late for dinner.
Or don't call me Becky.
Do not call do not call her Becky. Well,
Yes.
fantastic. Well, Becca, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you've got several letters after your name. Tell us what those are and just kind of, the basics in true, PhD fashion. Give us, your name, where you're from, and your background. We'll start there.
My name is Rebecca Bavery. I am originally from West Virginia, and of course now by way of multi-states because we're an Army family, and we're currently residing in North Carolina. So howdy neighbor. And yeah, so I'm a registered nurse. I have my bachelor's of science in nursing, currently studying my master's of science in nursing. Um, And so you're asking about my letters. So I'm a certified primal health coach, and I'm a certified ketogenic nutrition specialist.
What does that mean?
Which one?
Yes. So you're a health coach, and these
Yeah.
all back that up. How are they different? Because people will
Yeah.
see letters like that, and they'll wonder, well, what's the difference?
Okay. So the first one I got was the certified ketogenic nutrition specialist, and I got that back in 2019. And it was through the American Nutrition Association. So I discovered the ketogenic diet in 2018. And I was
Okay.
like, "Ooh, I really like this. I want to teach people about this. Where can I go get certified?" Well, there wasn't a whole lot out there at the time. And then I stumbled upon the American Nutrition Association, which their content is from Finney and Volek, which most people know their names in the ketogenic community. Um, and I signed up through them and did a lot of extensive training, talked about just the ins and outs of the ketogenic diet. And it's the traditional ketogenic diet. So, you're going, 75, 20, and 5. So anybody in the
Mhm.
ketogenic community knows that about the macros. 75% fat, 20% protein, 5% carbohydrates. Um, and so that was the original teaching that I learned. And yeah, so kind of went on with that. Um, then this past year, um, after being in the PhD community for a while, uh, saw that I was like, what is this CPHC?
Mhm.
And come to find out, I had stumbled onto them like maybe a year prior and was looking at them, and I was looking at their program, and I was like, I
Which is
cannot afford your
it's the
program.
the
Yeah.
Primal Health Coach Institute.
Yeah.
It's their
Yes, it's
program.
the Primal Health Coach
Mark
Institute.
Sisson, Aaron Power, Laura Rupsis.
Exactly. And if everybody knows Primal Kitchen, he's the
Mhm.
one that started Primal Kitchen. He sold it to go to a broader audience. Um, but yeah, so I stumbled upon them, thought it was too expensive, and then last year decided to take the leap and get my certified primal health coach. The difference between the two is one focuses on solely ketogenic nutrition, and a primal health coach does not. So the primal health coach encompasses a full primal diet, which could mean anything from carnivore to 100 grams of carbs per day. So low carb, but not necessarily ketogenic.
Right. So really, like within the PhD community, we talk about that spectrum
The spectrum.
that goes from low carb through keto, through low carb, paleo, keto, ketovore, carnivore, lion, and everywhere in between.
In between. Exactly. So, so a very broad spectrum. I specialize in ketogenic because I feel that that is the most appropriate for most people. I wish I was one of those people that could do paleo and get away with it. I cannot. It'd be great. But I do know people that can, and they thrive on it. So it's like, as long as they're healthy and they feel good, then that's the way to go for them. And I'm not dogmatic.
And that's a good nursing term too. Thrive. My wife is a nurse.
Thriving.
And that is a legit medical term. What does it mean to thrive? Because like you said, there's a whole spectrum. You're going to thrive. We tell folks your nutritional needs are like your fingerprint. It's going to be as unique as your fingerprint. So when someone's going to thrive in a different area, what does that mean from a medical perspective?
So thriving versus surviving is kind of what we talk about. And surviving is that you're just getting by. You are just one step in front of the other. You're fighting your battle every day. Thriving, and that's more on the disease side. So surviving is more in that side of the disease state. Thriving is where you're in the health state. So health is defined as the absence of disease. And, thriving is push you over into this area. This, I'm not sick. I don't feel bad. Nothing hurts. I'm in homeostasis and I feel great every day. Life's good. And that is your thriving, instead of the surviving. I feel like most of America is just surviving at this point.
Oh, absolutely. So let's back up a little bit. How did you said you found, you got certified in 19, you found a ketogenic diet in 18. What led you to that point what led you to that point? But then even before that, like most of us, you were unhappy with something, whether it was a physical condition, the mirror, the scale, whatever. What led you to begin, even prior to that, you're searching. You're like, I got to fix me somehow. Stumble. Oh, ketogenic diet. Where did the process start for Bekah?
Ooh, okay. So let's go all the way back to pregnancy. So I had a set of twins in 2007, and things weren't right ever after that. And I tried the traditional, eat less, move more, because I was trying to lose that baby weight. I was super tired all the time. And I was like, I don't know what's going on here. So, long story short, the doctor tested and they were like, oh, you have low thyroid. Okay, fair enough. So, put me on low thyroid, like hypothyroid meds, and everything seemed to be getting better and life was okay. At the same time, I was also being tested for autoimmune issues because again, fatigue, all these other things. They were like, I don't know what's wrong. And they said I had something. They couldn't they weren't quite sure what it was yet. And then in 2012, 2013 timeframe, found out that I had something called Sjogren's. And there's no treatment for it. Well, there's a treatment for it, but the treatment is a medication called Plaquenil, which is an anti-malarial drug. And one of the side effects is extreme rage. And it's, I was one of those people that ends up getting the anger issues. So I stopped taking it, and there's like, well, there's nothing else. Have fun. We'll, do supportive care, which is, what a lot of, allopathic medicine is supportive care. So ended up going paleo and started working out 2 to 3 hours a day.
So you went paleo. Now, was that just because you read somewhere or someone told you, "Hey, maybe this will help," or was this just for
Yeah.
the baby weight, or what led you to
Yeah, it
paleo?
was more it's because of, it was supposed to be partially anti-inflammatory because I looked into the autoimmune diet. I
Mhm.
looked into the autoimmune paleo and I looked at the autoimmune protocol. And this is how much you can eat on the autoimmune protocol diet. This is how much you can eat on the paleo diet. So I chose paleo. It actually worked pretty
Really?
well, and I lost weight, and I felt okay, but I would still have these intense flares where I would be laying on the couch and crying because I couldn't move. I was so fatigued, so tired. My husband would come home. He would do my job after doing 12 hours as a
Uh-huh.
soldier, and I was really fatigued. So we ended up, I was diet, yeah. Let's see. Then we moved again, and I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's on top of it. So it was the first time anybody had tested my antibodies, and they're like, "Oh, you also have this." So I was like, "Well, that makes more sense and for all my symptoms." But I was also taking care of my parents at the time. This is between 2017, 2018. Taking care of my parents. My mom was severely disabled, couldn't walk on her own, and she was recovering from like being in like the hospital with pneumonia. So her and my dad came up and stayed with us in Pennsylvania for they stayed about 3 months, and it was constant. And I was having trouble getting out of bed of the morning. I was having trouble getting my kids off to school. I couldn't like I was so tired. I was so fatigued. I was on antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds. I was on high blood pressure meds. Um, I was seeing pain management because I was in so much pain from the Sjogren's,
Mhm.
and I was just a mess. And I was extremely overweight. I was about 190 pounds at that point, um, and I was kind of done. And my brother, who also has a lot of autoimmune issues, was like, "Hey, I went keto. Maybe you should try keto because supposedly it's really great for autoimmune issues." And so I was like, "Let me read on it." And I did. And I looked it up and I was like, "I can do this." And I jumped straight in. So it wasn't like I'm going to slowly cut stuff out.
Let
No, it
me
was like,
titrate down my carbs. No, deep end.
yeah, head first. And no, I was a little bit more dirty, and we've talked about this before. I was a little bit dirty, still had seed oils, some keto products, the occasional Atkins product, just different things like that. I was counting net carbs versus total carbs, and
So kind of
but there was,
tabloid keto.
yeah, very tabloid keto. Um, but I wasn't doing the grain products. So if it was like, this is keto bread, and it's like, you look at it, it's like, it's all wheat. You're like, and no, like I did avoid those things, but some of the other things I still stuck with. I was doing fat bombs, all those things. So, but it was pretty interesting because it worked and things started getting better. And I was able to start going off medications. And
Mhm.
one of the first ones was blood pressure medications. I was like, "Ooh, I'm a little dizzy." I was like, "Maybe I should take my blood pressure." Oh, look at that! I should probably, I'm a
I
nurse.
just
I should know
bottomed
this
out.
stuff. I should probably not be taking this anymore. I did it the wrong way. I weaned my own self off. Please talk to your doctor. This is not medical advice, but this is smart medical advice right here. If you're going off a medication, talk to your doctor first and have them help you. It's off my soapbox. So
That's free, no
Did
extra
that.
charge.
Yeah, that's like $1 million right there. Like, please don't do it on your own because it's dangerous. So, I did that, went off of a bunch of medications. I was able to get off of antidepressants, which is
Hmm.
super big, and anti-anxiety. I was able to get off of pain medications, so that's a really big thing. Now I will caveat that with that I was like, listen, I'm on pain management, but daggone it, you are going to give me physical therapy, because I'd been begging for it for years and nobody would give me physical therapy. And so I got physical therapy. So along with anti-inflammatory diet, plus learning how to move my body in a therapeutic way to correct some of the issues that I had with my back and stuff. That was big. That's a huge deal. And it was, I'm a big fan of physical therapy. This diet does a lot, but we also need to use proper movement and learning how to do that proper movement. And physical therapy is one of the most underutilized things I think I've ever seen. And it's
And they
amazing.
do that day in and day out. They're experts at it.
They're experts at it. Yeah. And it was fantastic. So, so that's kind of like the long story of how I got like into the ketogenic world. It's weird because my brother was like, ketogenic, you should try it. He dropped it.
He was on
Um,
keto and then he was off keto and he's on keto. I got a
he no,
coworker that was he's
he's
on
he's
keto
just off.
today and then he's
He's
off.
just off now. He's just off, and his diabetes is killing him. And it makes me sad because I've tried. I've offered to coach him for free. I'm like, I'll give you the family I don't want you to die discount.
Right.
And no. Yeah, and yeah. So there's that. But yeah, so the more I learned about it and the more I read, especially about Finney and Volek, and it just spiraled and it just kept spiraling. And it's like I'm in a rabbit hole that I can't get out of now. It's like I'm in Wonderland.
It's a quest for knowledge.
But I'm in Wonderland,
Mm-hmm.
You fall down that rabbit hole into the proper human diet and you're no longer living in the real world. You're in an alternate reality.
Yes, Alice. Yeah, you don't
Right.
want to come out.
We don't. No.
So that's what got you into the ketogenic space.
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
long have you, so that was, what did you say, 2019?
2018.
2018.
So I started in March of 2018. It'll be 6 years next month.
Oh, wow. And the grocery list of conditions that you had, have you chipped away at, one or two of those or most of them?
So, well, high blood pressure, yes. Unless I get super stressed out, my body does not like stress. And so
Like
if
moving
my
across
blood
the country.
pressure, yes, my blood pressure will absolutely tick up. And then I have to go do deep breathing or something to bring it all back.
But non-medication.
Non-medication,
That's
yeah. So depression and anxiety, I'm off medications. It does not mean that anxiety isn't there because life is stressful and anxiety is normal, on a occasional basis. So
right.
just try, and that's where lifestyle and mindset, changes also have to come in. But for medication wise, those aren't there. The Sjogren's, I have chipped away at most of my symptoms for Sjogren's, depending on what I eat, because I did do the elimination back in January 2023, did the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs elimination, learned that chicken is not my friend.
Right.
So my joints hurt after chicken. I have to limit the amount of garlic I eat. Like there's just certain things, like I don't do nightshades anymore. There's just
I have
things that
trouble
I
with
can't.
that.
Yeah, my joints hurt, and then chicken is really evil. It gives me a cystic pimple right in the middle of my chin. Yeah, it's not very nice. So that's after multiple attempts at eating like chicken thighs. So I was like, because I love chicken wings and chicken thighs.
But if you had just like a little bit, you'd be on a special occasion, you'd be okay.
I had one chicken thigh, and within an hour, my joints were hurting. I have not tried pasture raised
That
chickens.
could make a difference.
It could.
And of
I have
one.
not tried it yet. I haven't tried it yet. I know that duck doesn't bother me.
Okay.
So I
Let us
know.
know.
Yeah, I'll have to
I'm
do it sometime.
curious
Like,
now.
I have to go find a real pasture raised, organic, you know, panda massaged, uh, you know, chicken.
Hey, Teresa, send her a chicken.
I know, right? I need a chicken.
So let me ask you this.
Mhm.
Um, how did you get involved with the PhD community? Dr. Barry, Nisha, and how did you find that? You're just out there in the keto space and you're learning, you're studying, you got this certification. How did you find those guys?
Well, I have a certification from another group that I don't use anymore, and it was in another space, in another community,
Sure.
and very quickly became disenfranchised with that community. And because of things that I was seeing, things that I was reading,
Hmm.
and things weren't making sense. And it was a very cult like following. And I decided, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I'd seen Dr. Barry's stuff before, on YouTube. I'd watched him, knew who he was and all this stuff. And just happened to see at the end of like one of his lives, come join the PhD community. And this is when it was back on Patreon.
Hmm.
So I joined Patreon for a little tiny bit. And then Patreon was acting wonky, and that's when they switched over.
Hmm.
And so as soon like it wasn't and I'd forgotten about it. So back in December of 2022, I discovered his Mighty Networks, and I was like, "Oh, let's do this." So I did that, and been in there ever since.
Wow. And then now you're a coach within the community too.
I am,
How
yeah.
cool is that?
It is pretty cool. What's really cool about the community, and I don't know if this will be live on YouTube for anybody to see, or if this is going to be just in our community. But if it's live out into the interwebs, um, this community is so accepting and kind, and the least catty I've ever seen in a community. And that makes me very happy because we're here to help people
Right.
and not fight with people. Um, Arguments, if they do, like I don't even know if I've seen an argument
I've
on the
seen a few
community.
people, they'll report a post, might be a little back and forth, someone will report it and they'll get a little message. Sometimes it's been the occasional stern talking to in private. Um,
But I haven't seen anything like even major, like that's caused a rift. It's just like
oh no, no,
it's just
because that's just
they're
the
like,
culture.
hey, and sometimes it's like, hey, I don't know if you meant it to sound the way it sounds. They're like, oh crap, no, it's not what I
Right.
meant, you
Yeah,
know?
it's a very
And
forgiving environment.
a very, very forgiving environment and very kind and loving. And oh my gosh, Anisha and Dr. Barry are some of the nicest people, like
Yeah,
real nice people. And all the coaches have been great and accepting of me. Um, so that's kind of nice.
kind of makes you want to give two thumbs up, doesn't it?
Oh, will it work? Is it going to work?
I don't know.
I don't think it's going to work this time.
Oh no. There it is. Yeah. Oh, fun with
We got
technology.
it to work.
Well, and there is the highlight of this whole thing.
It's the highlight of the video.
Yeah. Um,
I will say I noticed that I smile a lot in this community,
Hmm.
and I didn't in the last one. So that's good because smiling brings on all kinds of wonderful hormones.
Oh yeah, and it takes, was it 11 muscles to smile and like 30 something to frown? It's like,
It's
geez,
ridiculous.
I'll be
It's
lazy and
rid-
just smile. And yeah, it's a lot better. Now let me ask you this. So
Mm,
in my coaching, both in the network and out, we like to, it's PhD synergy. We talk about everything working together: the
yeah.
diet, sleep and rest,
Mhm,
activity and formal exercise, mindset, behavior, spirituality, all those
mhm.
things, and how they all work together,
Yes.
and how they're never going to move at the same pace, or you could have a
Mhm,
focus on this for a little bit and then it's going to shift around, but a rising tide will raise all ships.
mhm.
That's kind of what we do. What is your focus or foci in your coaching, in and out of the network? What's your jam?
So, like, I also focus on encompassing everything
Oh, you
because
copied me.
I did not copy you. Stop it. No, I just because um, some of the things that I've noticed just in my personal life is if my sleep is off, I'm off. If my spiritual life is off, I'm off. If I've got negative stinking thinking, so I've got my mindsets off, I'm off. Everything is off. And it's like if you have to encompass everything. So and it's kind of what primal health coaches talk about. They do talk about kind of all of it, exercise, diet, and head to toe. And so when it comes to that, I do focus on that as a whole. But I also focus, I think, like if you were talking from a client perspective, um, I work best with autoimmune. So women with autoimmune issues mostly haven't had a lot of male clients. So tend to steer less with male clients,
Sure.
but also, and this is a tricky one, and it's a space that I'm uh, going to start opening into is working with autism. So that is also going to mean I'll be the kids won't be my clients. The parents are going to be my clients. So working with parents of children with autism, because that's where even with my own health success, my biggest successes really are my kids. And
Right.
and healing, helping them heal, with their autism. And the diet really does help a lot. Um, my son is almost completely normal. Um, he does still have autism. It doesn't cure it, and it's not going to cure it. Like people are like, I cured my son's autism. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because the minute that he goes back to eating something crappy, you're going to start seeing those behaviors again. It ticks up. Um,
Mhm.
and if there's a stressful life event, they will regress some and have to claw their way back to where they were. It's just how autism works. But with him, with my son, we've had huge successes. With my daughter, it's been little successes, but like Jake, it's always like that with men and women. Why is it always like that? Men, they lose weight super fast, everything heals super fast. And then you got women who are like, and we have to just crawl, baby crawl up that ladder, you know? So,
I plead the
so with,
fifth.
well, yeah, well, you look at statistically, men hit their goals just faster. Anyway, so the same way with my son. So,
But it's a
he went
forgiving community,
from
honest.
it is it is it's all in jest, but he went from 0 to 60, and it was great. The big struggle with him was finding what he could eat. And that's going to be the big challenge with working with autistic, the autistic community,
Right.
is that there are so many food aversions. They're very set in their ways, and it's a lot of fighting. And a lot of parents don't want to do that. But I can attest and absolutely give a testimony on how great it does work, and what the benefits are. Um, but with Audrey, it's been a little bit slower, like little tiny things. Like she's just finally, she was on she's a little bit more severe than my son, and she was on Abilify, which is an antipsychotic or a mood stabilizer. And I'm probably saying that wrong. Probably should totally look that up, but I'm not going to, because I don't care. All I know is that it has a lot of bad side effects.
Right.
And one of the side effects is, diabetes. And then it doesn't call it this, but if you look at all the symptoms, it causes like a pseudo Cushing's. So a Cushing syndrome is where your body creates too much cortisol, and you're just pumping out all this cortisol all the time. And so there's so all these steroids cause a lot of problems. And she was getting a lot of these side effects from this drug. And it took, I want to say it took a year of her being on a ketogenic diet for us to even see a weight reduction. And that was very frustrating. I was like, is she broken? And now, like, was her metabolism just destroyed because of this drug? And I was finally, the weight it has started to slowly, very slowly come off. And so she's getting better. She is losing that weight that she had gained. It's just taking her a lot longer.
But it was the medication that was slowing that process down.
Yeah, after we stopped the medication, it took a year before keto could even break into it, like the damage. So kind of like what we talk about in the community, I really think that it took that long to heal it. Like the body was like, I don't need the weight to come off yet. I need the healing to happen first. And I think that's sort of where she's been. So, we did get her off that medication. She's still on a couple of others, because she does have comorbid OCD. And that's a beast all on its own, on top of being autistic. So, we're working on it, and she's getting better.
One step at a time.
She right now is walking that line between surviving and thriving. It's going to happen. She's going to move over into the thriving.
You can't push them over that line. They have to go over it themselves.
Yeah.
And not just in a special case, like just any of us. It's just, you have to, you can tell someone, you need to change your diet. You need to modify this, modify that. And they might listen to you for a while, but at some point they have to internalize, they have to own it. And I had a pastor of mine one time, he said, nothing in your life is ever powerful unless it's first personal. And once you can internalize it, then it's your decision and you have help, not, well, they told me to do this. Huge difference.
Yeah. So, she's on board with the diet. She doesn't want to go off of it. She does want her treats every now and then, which we have rules. Mm-hmm. And, I don't want anybody to think that I'm like starving my kids. Like they get certain days of the year, they get traditional junk that every teenage kid wants to eat. I mean, the big one is Doritos. That they always want Doritos. I'm like, what are they putting on those Doritos? Like, It's addicting. But,
Literally.
yeah, they're putting something in those suckers. But, it's like, they gotta be kids, but I'm trying to teach them too that it's okay to splurge on occasion, that it's okay, but you can't live off junk.
That has to
You
be
have
the
to eat.
exception, not the rule.
Exactly. It's sort of like in the PhD. It's like 80, or it's not in PhD, but the primal health coach, it's 80/20. You
Mhm.
know, if you can do it 80% of the time, that's great. I'm trying to teach my kids that you should be doing it 95% of the time.
Especially if you've got additional things, to
Additional
consider.
issues. Yeah. Yeah. So doing 95% of the time, the other 5%, when you go out with your friends, eat the Chick-fil-A. I'm not going to, I'm not going to chastise you
Now,
for
know
it.
that there's gonna be a little bit of a, consequence
Oh,
to it. Know that
oh,
going in.
oh yeah. Oh, he went out with a friend of his that's a girl. It wasn't a date. They just, you know, went
Right.
out ice skating, but they went to Chick-fil-A and he
Mhm.
got Chick-fil-A and he got a milkshake
Oh, dear.
and he had some other junk. And when he got home, he's like, I'm kind of sick to my stomach. I'm like, yep,
Yep. Yeah, I'm sure you are. Now,
congratulations.
I know one thing that we do, we've got, kids, 27 down to 10. 2 of them
Yeah.
are out of the house. Um, but even just for us, there's some things we just, every now and then we like to do. And we will I'm not a huge fan of keto-fied recipes and lookalikes
Mhm,
because they look so much like it's easy to get on that slippery slope, and then next thing you know, you're
mm,
so far off course. Oh my
mhm.
gosh, it's like I'm day 1 again.
Yeah.
But having said that, yeah, we make some homemade Doritos. We make, I mean, there's just a lot
Ooh,
of things that we do. I tell
send
you,
me I need the recipe for like homemade Doritos.
and we took something that, Nurse Cindy, we talked with her and we kinda modified some of that. I liked your idea before we went on the air. We were talking, and you and my wife Julie need to get together and do a series of videos and just do some how to keto-fy a recipe. So here's a traditional
Yeah.
recipe. How do you make this so it's at least keto friendly, keto adjacent?
Yeah, well, and I've done that with other stuff, like, I get that most people aren't wizards in the kitchen, and that people need help,
Mhm.
and especially if you're like, went to an Indian restaurant, and I really like the way that that tasted. I don't know how to make it. I should probably look up a recipe. I understand that. That's great. However, you shouldn't need to go to if somebody has taught you properly, you should not have to go and be like, I need a keto recipe for this. You should not need that. It is super easy once you know what you can eat and what you can't. It's super easy to just
Mhm.
be like, I can ketify that. Things that I've made in my kitchen. I've made pumpkin cheesecake. I've made party punch. I can make you the best party punch that you'll ever drink. And you're like, wait, I can have this? Yes, it's
We
amazing.
we've done so many ambush, keto Thanksgivings where it's like, "Shh, shh, shh, don't tell them it's keto." They eat
I
it and
make
they're
mac
like,
and cheese.
"This is so good. What's in
I
it?"
make, oh my gosh, I make bacon mac and cheese. And people are like, there's no carbs in this. I'm like,
Yeah,
no.
there's 2 for the whole tray or something
Well,
like that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like, because there's like a look, because you use heavy cream and cheese. So there's gonna be a little tiny bit, but I'm like, technically not.
But yeah,
And
it's not the
technically, it's just
40 per serving is the normal one.
no, it's like for the whole tray. And it's like, it's your protein and your fat, and that's all that's in it. And you're like, what? And like my mac and cheese, people love it. I took it to a 4th of July thing, and people were like, this is, there's no carbs in this. I'm like, "Nope." And it went. It was gone. It
Oh, yeah.
was gone. It was gone.
And I know
And
there's one thing that
no,
we've
go
done
ahead.
is and we did it. We got a few of the keto cookbooks, the carnivore cookbooks,
Oh
and
my
those are
gosh,
great.
I got a whole list of them, and they're great for reference.
Oh yeah, and then we'll look up on our phone or whatever. How what's a keto recipe for this, and what that can do is, especially for someone who's learning how to kind of get around in the kitchen in a keto kitchen, is you're going to start to
Yeah.
see some commonalities, and and
Yes.
read the macros, learn how did they do that, so that then eventually you can look at a standard recipe and good
And see
housekeeping
what to do. Yeah.
and know what to do. Well, instead of brown sugar, you can do either the Lakanto brown or the Sirkin Gold, and just
Yeah.
is it a 1-to-1? Is it a 2-to-1? What's the ratio? But you'll pick these things up as you go.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite keto recipes that I've made, um, it was actually one of my first. Yeah, it was one of my first ones that I was like, I want to make something Middle Eastern. So I was like, I really like lamb. Let's go find a recipe. Came up with Moroccan lamb stew.
How soon can
It
you
is
be over?
it is so good. I'll send you the recipe. Um, it is so good. And the thing of it is I was like, I just subbed out the ingredients. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, so this has a lot of carbs for this thing right here. So, but I know that I can substitute this over here, which is less carbs. So it's just about swapping, and that's what I did. And sometimes, especially with people that are sensitive to Moroccan lamb stew, like it has nightshades in it. It's got tomatoes. So having to like decrease the amount of tomato stuff and increasing the amount of bone broth, for example. So it still has the flavor, but it's not quite as intense, and that cuts down on carbs.
Right.
So it's just different things like that. So, but yeah, we need to do that. I'll send you that recipe.
Yes. Yeah. You two need to get together for sure, because you're right up the road now.
Yeah.
Um, so what's on the horizon? We're coming up on our time, but what's on the horizon? What's next for Bekah?
What's next for Becca? Okay, so right now I'm in my nurse practitioner school, and I really don't like the school. It is completely disorganized, and many of the professors are not so nice
Hmm.
or helpful. So I'm currently looking into transferring, and I've already talked to this. There's one school that I'm going to transfer into, and I can take a little bit longer to do it because, newsflash, in the United States Army, you move a lot. And we will either be moving next summer again,
As soon as you get
or
settled,
we will be moving in 2026, summer of 2026. So that's what we're looking at. And the program I'm looking at is very portable. It is accepted in all states except for the state of New York. So that
you plan on practicing in New York State?
no,
Okay, there you go.
I don't plan on moving, but the United States Army could send us to New York because there is an infantry base in upstate New York. They turned us down last time because they run you against that we're on a program called the Exceptional Family Member Program. If you have any type of disabilities or certain types of like autoimmune conditions, or
Right.
like especially with autism, there's some places you can and can't go because of they may not have the doctors near, or they may not have the resources that you need. So last time New York turned us down, which is fine. I'm okay with that. because I don't want to live in Buffalo. Um,
Well, it's
so I don't do
cold
well with
and
cold.
gray at least 11 months out of the year.
Yeah, I did that in Washington State. I don't want to do that again. But they could totally send us back to Washington State. So prayers that that doesn't happen. Um, we're trying to get to Kentucky. That's where we're trying to go.
Ah,
It's just north of Nashville, and we all know what's near Nashville. So,
sure. Oh my goodness. Well,
so, but yeah, so
where
that's what's next.
where can people find you on out there in the ether on the interwebs?
Okay, so I'm going to pull my phone up because I always say this wrong. Um, so on Instagram, I am at Rebecca Bavery CKNS. That's Instagram. I should probably go and make them all the same, but I did not. So I'm a bad person when it comes to marketing myself. At Rebecca Bavery Keto is YouTube. And I mean, you can, and then if you look me up on Facebook, just find Rebecca Bavery on Facebook. I swear I'm the only one out there. Our
Until
last
you're
name
not.
is very, well, our last name is very, very, very unique. And there's not many of us in the United States.
Okay.
My husband is the only one in the Army.
There you have it. But
Yeah.
but you can, help us out and you can send that to me so I can just copy and paste it into the notes, right?
I can totally do that for you.
Totes.
Totally. So that way you've got everything.
Cool. And of course, you can find you in the PhD community.
In the PhD community. Well, yeah. And
PhD
you said
community dot
something.
health.
Yes, I always have to go and find that on my I have to log out of the PhD so that I
To
can go and
see.
find it and then like copy and paste it because I'm like, what is it again? Because it's not a .com. Also, what's next for me is I'm also working on a project. Yes, that is that Dr. Barry's working on too.
Shh.
Yes. So it's pretty interesting. And I have some really interesting interviews coming up
Oh,
on
I
my
cannot.
YouTube channel.
So be sure to subscribe to her YouTube channel. Click the little
Yes.
bell. We've heard all
Yes.
before. So every time that Becca gets a bright idea, you're the first to know. But
There's not
these,
many of those.
and you told me what some of these are, and they're going to be very, very cool and very, very unique. So I'm excited to see
The
those.
big one. I don't know when you plan on posting this, but the one on February 16th, I'm super excited about.
That's right
About
around the corner.
talking about the hunter and the hunter gatherer. So I
Don't say
know
anymore. That's the sizzle reel. That's the teaser trailer right
it
there. So
is.
just pay attention. But
Yeah.
well, I'm so glad we had some time to spend together, and yeah, we'll get this posted here soon. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's always
Julie, we gotta get together.
you got to uh, for some videos, but just we all need to kind of converge. We're just
We
like
do.
2 hours from each other. We need to go all in and
I
grab some
know.
brisket or something.
Well, there's got to be, well, and for me, I'll probably be like, hey, where's a good place to stay around there? And it like that way we don't have to drive back
That's fair.
because
Well,
we're getting old. I don't want to drive at night. Who wants to drive at night?
I don't care.
And my husband just turned 40. We're old.
Yeah, I just turned 50 and got a new hip to prove it. But
Hey,
you're gonna call people old. Okay. Okay. Okay.
well, I'm older than my husband, so I'm married
What? Oh,
younger.
oh wow, yeah, I got me a cougar too. She's 3 months older than me. No, 2 months older than me. So
I'm 3 years older than my husband. I'm getting ready to turn
wow.
43.
Robbing the cradle. Okay,
I
I see how
know. It's really weird when he was in like an 8th grade and I was in 11th.
that puts a whole new perspective on it.
It does. It sounds weird, doesn't it? But we've been married
Anyway,
19 years, so almost
congratulations.
19 years.
Do it again. Do it again.
Go do it again.
See if it'll do it.
It's not going to do it.
It's not gonna do it.
No, maybe only once. Oh well.
Oh well. Anyway, Becca, it's been great talking to you, and I know we're going to be seeing a lot more of you in the community and just out on the inner tubes.
Outside.
So
We'll see.
we're excited for that. And with that, we'll sign off, and we will catch you guys later.
Sounds good.